welcome to the Palm Beach County Beekeepers Association monthly fun meeting. And I say it's the monthly fun meeting because we have 2 meetings a month. The first Friday of every month is a fun learning session about bees. We don't do much about the business end of the club tonight. We will cover a few topics before we get into the presentation. But if you want to be part of the business of Palm Beach County Beekeepers Association, we meet the second Wednesday of every month, same time, right here at Pine Jog. We've been getting a nice turnout, so more people are getting involved. But if you want to be involved in making the decisions of what presentations we have, what we do in the club, how much money we have, how much money we spend, all that, come on Wednesday night. Not this Wednesday, the second Wednesday of the month.
That's this coming Wednesday.
Is it?
Yeah.
All right. This Wednesday. I'll be there. I'll be there. So, members only. Members only. You have to be a member of the Palm Beach County Beekeepers to attend that meeting. You do not need to be a member to attend this meeting, but we encourage you to become a member. It's a whopping $5 a year. The other $15 goes to make you a member of the Florida State Beekeepers Association, so your total charge is $20 a year. Woohoo! And what can we do with that $5 a year? It's limitless. Which brings me to my first point of the evening. The conference. The state conference is the first weekend in October, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. It's being held at the Embassy Suites Hotel by Belvedere Road at the Conference Center. It's going to be a fabulous, fabulous event. 94 years FSBA has been putting on a honeybee and beekeepers conference, and I believe this is the first year it's been in West Palm Beach.
Maybe the best one yet.
Best one yet. And so you can go onto the website beekeepingconference.com and register to join us at the conference. Now keep in mind that it is a fundraising event. Which means we do charge for this event. We're raising funds for our club and for the FSBA. So I've gotten the emails. Wow, that's expensive. Well, it's a fundraising event. Dinner costs us $55. We're charging $65. We make $10. So it's a fundraising event.
Hey, Al.
Yes, sir.
What do we have in the gift bags when they register? Ooh.
So,
There's more.
when you register for the conference, if you're one of the first 100 people that sign up, paid people, 3-day event. So if they're coming to all 3 days, paid for 3 days, the first 100 people receive a 10-frame deep with frames and foundation. That's already a $50 value. Then you receive a can of beeswax furniture polish, which is a $15 value.
But wait, there's more.
Then you receive a hive tool, you receive a bee brush, you receive paint strainer bags that you can use to strain your honey with. You receive honey, you receive soap, you receive $100 worth of free stuff. So, bring a dolly because you're going to need it. Because the 10-frame deeps are already assembled, and we have a big pyramid. We're going to have a big pyramid of hive boxes that you're going to be grabbing hives on your way out of the conference with. So that's going to be fun. So it's $180 for the 3-day event. You're getting $100 worth of stuff. It's costing you $80. to go to the conference. It's an extra $65 if you want to go to the Beekeepers dinner. And yes, we put in our kiddies $10 of that. So strike us dead. So please join us. If you want to support this organization and the Florida State Beekeepers Association, this is the time to do it by registering for the conference, because we have all year long, we have free things that go on here. Last year we had Michael Bush come into town. We flew him into town. We put him up. We fed him. It was over, what, $1,500 to bring him in to speak for an hour at this club. He's usually speaking at national events. And we did not charge for that event. We brought in Dr. Tom Seeley, which he, again, is a nationally recognized speaker. And again, it cost us over $1,000. We did not charge for that event. So throughout the year, we put on free events here at the association, and we need to pay for those events. And this conference is helping to pay for those events that we have here free.
So, Al, let me see if I've got this right.
I want to finish before 9 o'clock so I don't get my hands smacked. All right, go ahead.
Besides all the great fellowship we're going to have during this conference and all the wonderful gifts in this bag, we're also going to have how many nationally, internationally known speakers?
There's going to be 20 nationally recognized speakers speaking at this conference. So we're flying in from all across the country. We're putting them up in the hotel. We're feeding them 20 speakers. This event is costing us more than $20,000 to put on. And so it's not your everyday event. Plus our food. So we're trying to put on an event that is comparable to a national event. And so it's going to be fabulous. And not to mention, if you stay at the Embassy Suites Hotel, you get 4 hours of open bar. Free drinks. We're getting loaded. So if you want to stay at the Embassy Suites Hotel, it's normally $145 to $150 a night. They gave us a special rate of $109 a night. Yes, and you still get the 4 hours of bar. But that, you have to register for one of those rooms before September the 9th, which is next week. I think it's Tuesday. Other than that, it's going up to $150, and you're going to lose an extra $100 if you stay the 2 nights. So it's going to be a lot of fun staying at the hotel, because all the speakers are staying at the hotel, and we're all going to sit down at the bar. You're going to be able to sit and talk, have appetizers with any one of the speakers. You'll have crunch time with anybody that you can ask them personal or business questions.
Did you tell them about the apiary on top of the...
I did not. I will. And so Embassy Suites has a 2-story parking garage. And they gave us the top of the parking garage to have a live apiary right at the hotel. And so we're going to have live bee demonstrations right there. You go out one door, up one set of stairs, and you're at the apiary. So we're going to do a live bee removal. I have a wall that's in my yard with 2 hives in it that's growing and growing and growing. And we're going to remove bees from that wall. We're going to remove bees from a swarm box. We're going to remove bees from a birdhouse. We're going to remove bees from a tree limb.
I'm in.
We're going to do bee inspections with the state inspectors. We're going to show you what happens during a state inspection. We're going to show you beginners what to do inside a beehive. We're going to show you how to get stung and how not to get stung. We're going to show you what we're going over tonight, trap outs, and we're going to do a live trap out right there. And we're also going to have hummers. No. We're going to have Hummer Bee, which is a piece of equipment that loads pallets of hives onto a semi-truck. So we're going to be showing you how to load a tractor trailer. If anybody has a tractor trailer that they need to load, it's going to be very important information. So it's just going to be a lot of fun. And I only get to speak once, so you only have to listen to me once. So
what's going on at this table?
We have live registrations going on right now. So don't get up.
Also volunteer opportunity.
Don't get up. Throughout the night, you can come over and actually register right here, right now, and get it done and over with. And we also need volunteers to help us out at the conference. Do I get in free? No. It's a fundraising event. We're trying to raise funds. You get it? I paid to get into the conference. I also sponsored the conference. So it's a fundraising event. So enough on that. Any questions about the conference?
Are the speaker names on the website?
They are, all 20 of them with bios and the schedule. We have a whole track of commercial speakers to speak about commercial beekeeping. We have a whole track on sideliners and organic beekeeping, treatment-free beekeeping. And then we have a whole track on beginner beekeeping. And then we have a fourth track on bee removals. Is anybody in here a pest control operator? You can raise your hand and we won't yell at you. No pest control operators in here tonight. Because I took one extra step and registered this conference with the state. So you will get your CEU points for coming to the conference if you're a pest control operator. CEU points are continuing education units. Believe it or not. And, there's a funny story that goes with that because, the guy's like, well, we don't just approve anybody. Who are you? What do you do? Blah, blah, blah. And I said, let me send you the lineup of what we're doing and see if it qualifies. I send him 3 of his bosses are speaking at the conference. He text messaged me back and said, fill out this information, I'll put you at the top of the pile. Hey, thank you. I haven't gotten it back yet. I'm shooting for, because everybody needs 2 CEUs per year, I believe, in different categories.
More than that.
More than that? Yeah. So 8 total? Okay, I'm not a pest control operator, so I don't know. But we have, I think Sierra, did we sign up for 6? 6? I believe it's 6 CEU points. And I'm trying to get them, because we're so close to the end of the year, I'm trying to get them to credit them for next year. So if you already have all your credits for this year, you'd actually be able to apply them to next year. So we're still in limbo about that. So we're working really hard. We got a bunch of great people working on this conference. That's the Wednesday night meeting. We pretty much we're just concentrating on the conference. So if you can make it to this next Wednesday night meeting, that would be awesome because we need all the help we can get to put this thing together.
I wanted to mention the newest thing that we saw in the Beekeepers Conference, which is we're bringing in the training class, right, for Thursday now. It's going to be run by FSBA.
Yes, thank you. Okay. So the Florida State Master Beekeepers Program. This is a program through the University of Florida, and it starts as a beginner level, and then you advance to a master beekeeper. It takes 5 years to get your master beekeeper's accreditation. So we actually joined up with them to hold a master beekeepers program. It's going to be Thursday morning here at Pine Jog, and then as soon as it's done here, then you move over to the conference and start the conference Thursday night. And then Friday at the Beekeepers Dinner, they give out all the awards. If you passed your section, either beginner, intermediate, advanced, or master beekeepers, at the beekeepers' dinner. So they pass, what's that?
What's the cost? $50.
Is it 50?
$50. Really?
For each class, right. And then if you want to be tested, I think it's an extra 20, but the information is on the...
Yeah, so that information is on the website. It's a great program. You don't need to be an advanced beekeeper to take this program. So check it out, see if it's something that might interest you. But it's just continuing education, learning about honeybees. So, the conference.
Airplane flights over Palm Beach County?
What's that?
Are there any airplane flights over Palm Beach County?
Airplane flights over Palm Beach County.
Touring hives around the county.
Oh, touring hives? Oh, yes, there is. Yes. So we've had a lot of sponsors and a lot of things donated to the conference, which is awesome. One of our members donated a plane ride around Palm Beach County. So, what's that? No. And then we received, get a load of this, 25 sheets of plywood, 5/8 plywood from Home Depot, and 2x4s. So I'm going to next be building swarm boxes. I want to try to get 100 swarm boxes made to either do something with at the conference, either give them away or raffle them off or do something like that. So you might get an email saying, does anybody want to help me build swarm boxes? And you can come over and we'll knock out some swarm boxes. We're also going to build some top bar hives that will be at the conference. We have a 20-frame extractor, an electric extractor, that's going to be at the conference to be either raffled off or auctioned off. We have 100 10-frame deeps, and then we have 2,000 pieces of plasticell. So 2,000 pieces of plasticell we need to do something with. So we're going to be passing out a lot of stuff at this conference. So it's going to be a lot of fun. So that's the conference. If you want to help, please register. If you want to really help volunteer. Spread the word. Now's the time to do it. We're actually looking for table decorations for 25 tables. So if anybody has an idea or centerpieces or plants, we're thinking Trader Joe's. If anybody has a Trader Joe's next to them, you might want to go in and ask the manager. They have pots of sunflowers growing. Wouldn't those sunflowers be nice on every table? Trader Joe's could donate those. 25 of them. It's easy for Trader Joe's to donate. So somebody contact Trader Joe's and bug them for 25 sunflower plants. It's nothing for them. For the amount of advertising they're going to get, it's going to be worth it. 100 calls tomorrow. Everybody call Trader Joe's. Everybody call Trader Joe's in Wellington tomorrow, and then I'll go in at 4 o'clock and say, hey, you know, we're having a beekeeper. I know! Have them stop calling me! Here's your 25 sunflowers. Get out of here. All right, so we got an observation hive back up in the window. Yeah. So that was a nightmare. The comb on the plastic. Never use a razor blade on plexiglass. It's not pretty. It's not pretty. I end up having to go to Home Depot, buy new plastic, cut it, and put it in there. So that's what I was doing just before I came here. Go figure. All right, any other business? Who's new to the association? Brand new. Stand up. Name. Leo. Leo, how you doing, Leo? You have bees?
No.
No? Do you have a veil, jacket?
Yes.
Gloves?
Yes.
Smoker?
Yes.
You want bees?
Today. Yes.
All right. I run a nonprofit organization called Bee Understanding, and our mission is to teach people about honeybees. And so we give away your first beehive to beginning beekeepers. So if you want a beehive, you'll contact me. We'll make arrangements for you to come out. I'll screen it up. I'll throw it in your car and say good luck. All right? Don't worry. Sierra put one in her van right next to her kid strapped in a car seat. All right? Now that's dedication right there. Yeah, but that's now. This was the first time she came to pick up a hive. She's like, really? I can put that in my van with my kids? I'm like, sure. Yeah. They're not allergic, are they? Ah, the hell with it. You don't need those kids anyways. You don't need those kids anyways. And then I won't mention any names, but I think they're here. I put one in their car, and they didn't take off their veil, gloves, or jacket. And I'm like, you know, you probably have a higher chance of getting in a car accident because you can't see shit than you do of getting stung by the bees in your car. I've seen it all. I've seen it all. But now, this person is an accomplished beekeeper, so, you know, we've made big strides, big strides. All right, are we having fun yet? Who else? This young lady, stand up, please. Your name? Arlene. She lives out in Wellington. I met Arlene already because Arlene called me up and said, I got bees. I got bees in the tree out in my front yard. I don't want to spray them. How do I get rid of them? And so I went over to Arlene's house and set a trap out on her tree. Nice segue. And so guess what we're talking about tonight? Trap outs. It's not. It's not. But I have taken a lot of pictures lately. So welcome, Arlene. So not only does Arlene want to get rid of the bees in her tree, she wants to add bees in her yard. And so I told her to come to the meeting tonight. If you're interested, grab your jacket and veil at Smoker and you'll be all set. Or you're ordering it online or you're getting it at the conference. Because at the conference, we will have all the vendors at the conference. Man Lake, Dayton, South Florida Bee Supply, Walter Kelly, all kinds. Dayton, D&J is going to be there. So you're going to have your pick, and they're going to be fighting for your business, so the prices are going low. All right, what else? You got a question? You got your hand up? Glenn? No? Good watermelon? Okay. And so, where was I at? We were talking about the conference. We were introducing the new people. Any other new people? Let me see. New people in the back. Stand up, please. Lisa. Do you have bees? No. Do you want bees? Yeah. All right. Do you have a veil, glove, and smoker? Okay. So maybe you want to give it a day or so, and then and then contact me, and I'll give you bees. All right. Anybody else? This young man. Brand new. Where are you from? Indiantown. Jim Chapman, you here? Jim Chapman? Who else is from Jupiter Farms? Jupiter Farms people. Jupiter Farms, do you have bees? Not yet. Not yet. We need somebody that has bees. We have a lot of beekeepers in Jupiter Farms. So we can hook you up with somebody to really get you going in this thing. That brings me to PalmBeachCountyBeekeepers.com. It's our website. And I'm sure you've gone there and looked for information. Well, in the top right-hand corner, it says sign up or sign in. You want to hit sign up. Put in your email address and all that. It'll give you your own page, like a Facebook page type of thing. And then you can upload photos. You can upload videos. You can start blogging. You can talk to other beekeepers. You can say, I don't know shit about bees. Can somebody tell me? And maybe somebody will answer you. 350 some people on the website. You do not need to be a member to be on the website. Because you click that you want to register now, you're not registering for the association. You're just registering to use the website. So don't let it fear. And no, the state isn't going to say, oh, look, they're a beekeeper. I'm going to go look for them. It doesn't happen that way. And you do have to register your hives in the state of Florida. It costs a whole whopping $10 a year. And the only thing they're looking for are Africanized bees and American foul brood. And they inspect your hives once a year. It's very simple. They're not out to tell you you can't raise bees. They're actually here to tell you that you can raise bees. If you have bees in your backyard and they're not registered in the state of Florida, your city or municipality can tell you that you can't keep bees, that you have to get rid of them. because they're not registered in the state of Florida. If they're registered in the state of Florida and you get an inspection once a year, nobody can tell you you can't keep bees in the state of Florida. So the state is actually here to help you. If somebody gets stung, your neighbor, and they go to sue you, the state of Florida will back you up because you're registered with the state of Florida. So it's a good thing to register your bees with the state of Florida. Homeowners associations are the only entity that can tell you that you cannot keep bees if the documents specifically say no beekeeping. And we haven't run across many documents that say no beekeeping. I've actually run across one that said no raising insects. And it got put to the test, and it's still with the attorney at the state FSBA because it doesn't specifically say no beekeeping. Because bees are now considered livestock. They're not really insects. All right? Don't you love attorneys? Gotta love it. Oh, so I had a question over here. Can I do an agricultural exemption on my lot? Yes, you can, but no, you can't. Because the Palm Beach County makes it so difficult to get your ag exemption for keeping bees that it's almost not worth it.
50 bees per acre, 50 hot colonies per acre.
50 colonies per acre.
We need to change that.
And then you actually have to dedicate so much area for foraging, don't you?
Well, you have to, number one, you have to have more than 2 acres to get an exemption anyway. You have to have 1 acre for your house, 1 acre for the exemption. So you have to have more than 2 acres. And then after that, you got to have the 50 colonies per that, and the forest to be.
You're feeding bees continuously because there's not enough forage within a 5-mile radius to feed those bees. So it's almost not worth it. So, and what do you save? And what do you save? 50 bucks?
Yeah, really,
It's not that much.
It's not the money that you save, it's the benefits you get.
Yeah, because then you can build a whole new house and call it a barn. And no permits or anything, you know? I would love to have an ag exemption. It would drive the city of Wellington absolutely insane. You know, they wrote me a letter about that damn berm that I put in. The mound. Anybody know the mound in my backyard? I planted wildflowers all throughout the mound. And they were up this tall, just ready to bloom. And Wellington sends me a letter and says, you're not maintaining your yard in accordance to Wellington rules and regulations. You need to get rid of those. I called them up and said, they're flowers. They said, no, they're weeds. And I said, all flowers were weeds at one time. I was going to fight it, but then I said, you know, the hell with it. Took the weed eater and took them all down. Yeah, I just didn't have it in me with the conference, this meeting. Oh, it's just too much. So get rid of them. Yeah, I did. I said it was bee food. Yeah. Oh, they're a little iffy about me keeping bees too, but yeah, which can of worms do I want to open? I'd rather deal with the wildflowers than the bee issue, you know.
Told him it was the butterfly garden and brought the Girl Scouts out there.
Yeah, right? So, whatever. So, all right, who wants to learn about a trap out? Yeah? All right, let's have some fun. So, my name's Al Salopek. I'm the president of the Palm Beach Beekeepers Association, if you haven't noticed. And I do live bee removals and relocations. If you're going to do a live bee removal and relocation, you have to be a beekeeper, a registered beekeeper in the state of Florida for 1 year. That's the only stipulation, basically. And you can't use pesticides, but you don't want to use pesticides anyways. Now, if you don't have a year under your belt and you still want to collect some feral bees, you can collect feral bees with a swarm box, so you can set swarm traps. You can do, it's gray, you can do a trap out because you're not actually doing a removal. You're catching a swarm when they leave the location that they're in. Or you can go and collect a swarm out of a tree. without having to remove any building materials from a house or a structure. So, if you don't have bees and you want to collect bees, you can go get a swarm. And a swarm is considered a set of bees that doesn't have comb. So, I've gone to some swarms, and there's a little piece of comb, and I would have never known there was comb inside, but who's going to say anything? Just do it, you know? And you know what? You can any state inspectors here? All right, none. All right, good. So, and you can probably get away with doing, oh yeah. You can probably get away with doing a swarm removal that has a little tiny piece of comb and nobody will say anything. So, all right, so we're going to move on. So, I do live bee removals and relocations. I'll cut into a house, I'll cut into a soffit, and I'll remove bees and comb. There are times when the homeowner says, no, it's a Meisner house. You can't cut into the facade. You can't cut into the block wall. You can't cut into the cypress tree without pulling a permit. Get rid of my bees. So, trap outs. The theory behind a trap out. Ooh, is that me? It's blurry, or is that?
No, you.
I squint all the time. Is that better? All right, can everybody see that? Man, it's small, huh? All right, the theory, and this will be on the website. So I just emailed it to Greg. He's videotaping it. So all this will be on the website, so you can pull it right off the website. So in theory, honeybees nesting in an unwelcome location are isolated where the bees can come out but cannot re-enter the nesting cavity. So what you're doing is you're trapping the bees from re-entering the space that they've occupied to call home. And so it could be a block wall. Let's say a block wall. They have the hollow cylinder in most of those blocks. Some of them are filled with concrete. And the builder goes and just knocks a hole with a hammer and sticks the AC pipe going through the wall. Never stuccos around the pipe. And you have a 1/4-inch gap all the way around that pipe. Bees love that space. They'll go right into that block wall, and they'll start building comb from the top all the way to the bottom. And you think that's only a 3.5 by 3.5 inch space, but bees will hang comb in that entire section. I've pulled out 40,000 bees out of a block wall before. Okay? So bees are in the wall, and you don't want to cut that wall open. And so it's a perfect scenario for a trap out because there's only one entrance, or any of the other entrances could be sealed up, and you're leaving them only one way to get in and out. So what happens at that point is you're adding a cone or a device over that one entrance where the bees can now come out of the wall, but they can't go back into the wall. The only bees that leave the nest are foraging bees, mature foraging bees. So those bees leave, they go out through the cone, which you'll see in a minute, or they go out through this device here, and they can't get back in. So they're going out to collect food. What do bees eat? Pollen and nectar. So they're going to flowers, they're collecting pollen and nectar, and they're bringing it back to the hive. Well, they can't get into the wall. So now the food supply has been cut off going into the wall. Now inside the wall, the bees recognize that there's no longer any food coming into the wall. The queen lays eggs according to how much food is coming into the beehive. If a lot of food's coming into the beehive, she lays a lot of eggs, up to 2,000 eggs a day. Okay? Because she wants a lot of bees to hatch, to go out to collect that food, to bring it back into the hive to store it up. Then when the flow slows down, she slows down the egg laying process. The bees die off in the 6 to 8 week period of time. She shrinks the size of the hive, so then she doesn't have as many bees to feed on the food that they've stored up. So when you put that cone on, no food is coming back into the wall. The queen stops laying eggs because there's no longer any food coming into the hive. And she's like, whoa, put the brakes on. We got to survive off of what food is in the hive. So now she stopped laying. She's not going to abandon the space because she's got food in there and she's got young in there. So they're going to tend, the young bees and the queen are going to tend to the bees in the hive. And as they do this, some of those bees are maturing, and now it's time for them to go out and become forager bees. And so they leave, they go out the cone, and they can no longer get back into the space, and they're trapped out also. So again, no food is still coming back into the hive. The other bees are feeding on the honey and nectar and pollen that's in the hive, and they're waiting for the young to hatch. Now it takes 25 to 26 days for an egg to become a mature bee. So usually they're going to stay inside that wall for that 25-day period because they're waiting for everything to hatch out. Now usually it takes a little bit longer, so I always say that this trap out will take 30 to 60 days to complete. And it can go to 90 days if they have a lot of food reserves in the wall. So if that hive has been in that wall for 3 years, okay, they have plenty of honey in there. They can survive in there like it was wintertime. How long's wintertime up north? 6 months? All right? And bees survive 6 months without going out to forage for food, right? Well, here in Florida, they're not going to last 6 months, trust me. Wait until you see a couple of the pictures. So they're feeding on that. Young bees are going out to get food. So in the wall, that hive is getting weaker and weaker and weaker because bees are leaving and not returning. And then eventually they run out of food or they run out of bees. And the queen says it's time to leave. And they all leave. All right, so that's the theory. The queen stops laying eggs. No food entering the hive. The queen and the young bees survive from the stored food. Eggs and brood are allowed to hatch and mature. As bees mature, they become foragers and exit the hive to hunt for food. Original hive is deprived of food and bees, while the nesting box is building up and becoming stronger. So I didn't talk about what you're going to do with the bees that are returning and can't get back into the hive. Now, they're not just going to go away, and they're not going to go start another hive somewhere else because they don't have a queen. So they're going to sit right there and wait for everybody to come out of the hive. And you don't want that to happen because the person that you're doing the trap out for is going to say, hey, there's bees flying all over the place, and they're excitable because they can't get back in to do their job. Because the forager goes out, puts food inside a honey stomach or a crop, and has pollen on its legs. The only thing they want to do is come back to that hive, regurgitate that nectar to a young bee, and pass on the pollen and get back out to get more. If they can't do that when they come back to the hive, they get upset. So you have to do something with those returning bees. So you're going to set either a nuke box or a hive box right next to that cone or one-way device. And inside that hive box, you're going to have one frame that has eggs and larvae with young bees, nurse bees that can't fly on that frame. And I like to put a queen in that box. Now, this is your option. You can just put the eggs and larvae in young bees, and then the bees that want to drop off that food They come, join that hive, start regurgitating food to the young bees, and then those young bees will form a queen cell and start the process of making a new queen. And so they will requeen themselves over that 30-day period anyways. And so you can use just a frame of eggs and larvae and young bees, and that'll work. I like to add the queen along with that. So it's a queen, young bees, eggs and larvae, fully functional, one frame. The other 8 frames, or 9 frames, or 4 frames if it's a nuke, are totally empty. Just plasticell on those frames. And then you set that right next to your cone. You put a little lemongrass oil on the entrance. You smoke the living bejeebies out of the cone where all the bees are gathering. They all take flight. They're all attracted to that lemongrass oil, and they walk right into the new hive. And they start using that hive box as their new location of the hive. So now they come and go from the hive box. The first day that you set up your trap out, there's going to be confusion. Bees are going to be circling. Usually day 2, day 3, you have a steady stream of bees coming and going from your box. And they've already accepted it. If there are bees around your cone, those bees just came out that day, and they're not yet with the program of joining the box. But they will by nightfall. I guarantee it. So you always want to tell your customer that you will still have the same amount of bee activity as you do right now as when I put the trap out here. But instead of the bees coming and going from the wall, they're now coming and going from the box that you have sitting next to your cone. Does everybody understand that? That's all the theory.
Why do you prefer to put a queen in rather than going with?
I prefer to put a queen inside that trap out box, the nesting box, because then I know that it's queen right and it won't go wrong. If I want them to make a queen cell, that queen has to hatch, go out, mate, and come back, and you know sometimes that just doesn't work. And so that hive might go queenless, which would then cause problems of them accepting that box. So it's a roll of the dice if you want them to make their own queen cell and make their own queen. If there's a queen in there, I have a really good acceptance rate. Now,
They accept that queen's pheromone?
they do, in most cases. So I have had instances where, no, they go in, but the returning foragers end up killing the queen that's in there. And then they go ahead and make a queen cell anyways. And so it's a toss-up, but I usually have really good luck adding the queen to the box. I haven't had many issues having the queen in there because...
A candy cell, so they chew the candy out, that way they're forced to...
And you can do that too. You can cage the queen and stick her on the comb, and then you know that they're going to accept that queen. So I've done it both ways. I've done it with caged queens and free-running queens. And usually the foraging bees are out foraging for food. They don't realize that they have a new queen until they come back at night. And then that's the time when they would be messing with that queen. But I have better luck adding a queen. For whatever reason, it's just been better for me. Do what you want. I've even had people do trap outs without adding nurse bees to that box. They'll only add eggs and larvae. And then the bees that are coming back then have to tend to that frame. But the problem with that is that those eggs and larvae get chilled. They're going to die. So if those bees don't accept that frame quickly, they're not going to regulate temperature. So you're running a gamble just running without the nurse bees on that frame. And so I prefer to add nurse bees so they can maintain those eggs and larvae and they can receive food coming back from the foragers. Because Foragers are mature bees. They've already gone through the other jobs in the hive. They're no longer tending to young. They're no longer building comb. They're no longer cleaning the hive. They're no longer doing these other jobs. So those mature bees have to regress and become nurse bees. And it takes a couple days for them to regress to activate the glands in their body to produce the food that those young need. So I don't like to add just eggs and larvae, but some people do, and it still works. So you can take it as you will. When to use a trap out. We already covered this a little bit with the block wall. Bees and nests are in an inaccessible area. And that covers a lot. Block wall, trees, boats. Yeah. Not many people want you cutting apart their fiberglass boat. All right. Water meters, no. You're better off just doing a removal out of water meter. Electric panels. Main electric boxes. I've had bees in there. I wasn't real keen about going in there with a metal hive tool, you know. So that's a great, you'll see one of those, I think. I have pictures of that. Structure cannot be damaged. Palm Beach houses, Meisner, Pecky cypress. They can't replace the crown molding. They can't replace this or that if you're cutting it out. Went in and said, oh, I can cut this ceiling. And it had a fresco on it, you know. Not a good idea to have a Sawzall in your hand at the Trump Plaza, you know. Trees that cannot be cut down, cypress trees. Cypress trees are perfect bee habitats. They love cypress trees. And you can't cut them down without a permit. So those are the three best examples of when to use a trap out. Materials needed. Black plastic. Number 8 hardware cloth. That's this stuff. Hardware cloth. It's metal. It's screen. And it's 1/8 inch. That's the number 8. There's 8 squares per inch. 1/8 inch screen. You get 1/4 inch screen? It don't work. Bees make it right through that. 1/8 inch screen. Aluminum AC duct tape. That's this stuff. Everybody knows this stuff, right? Foil tape. It's waterproof, and bees can't chew through it. All right? And please do not rip the tape until you peel the backing off. I hate it when I'm working with somebody and she rips the whole thing. Because this way, then you rip the tape, and then the next piece, and then the next piece, right? See how quick that is? If I rip it, you got to sit there and go.
I don't think he's let it go yet.
I'm not letting it go yet, Sierra, all right? Not saying that you're the one that I'm working with when you rip the tape. All right? So AC duct tape, it's wonderful stuff. It's expensive, and I go through a truckload of it. So AC duct tape, 5/8 inch plywood. Why in the hell do you need 5/8 inch plywood? You'll see. Plenty of reasons. Screw gun, screws, and a drill bit. Floral wire. Floral wire. For all you studs that don't know what floral wire is. It comes in a spool. It doesn't have to be green, but it's perfect, flexible, blah, 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 and I'll show you what to do with that in a minute. Floral wire. Caulking, expandable foam. Expandable foam, if you're going to use expandable foam, great stuff. Don't get it on your hands. That shit never comes off. It's awful, isn't it? And it's like a magnet. No matter what you do, it gets on you, jumps on you. And don't just use the red can. You need to use the green can. It's called Pest Block. Doesn't have pesticides in it. Don't freak out, all you naturalists. It has bitter almond in it. The bees don't like the bitter taste as they're chewing through it. I have had bees that will chew through it to get in and out, but it's better than the regular stuff. So Pest Block, great stuff foam. Hive box or a nuke box with young bees, eggs, larvae, and a queen. And you need a smoker, veil, gloves, and common sense. I don't care what you do, make sure you go out and buy some common sense. I'm serious. Not many people have it anymore. And when you're doing a trap out, trust me, you need some common sense. I should have put that in bold. Not materials needed, common sense needed. All right, so are we having fun yet? All right, good. All right, your one-way door. So you're creating a way out, but no way in. And this is a cool little device. It's this device right here. That's this thing right here, front and back, $2.95. It's a great little thing. And so this is called a one-way door. And so you can take the back off, and you can actually see what it looks like on the inside. There are two pieces of wire on each side that form a cone, right? And bees walk out here, they push through the little door, and they're out. They come back, and their little hands can't spread that thing apart and get inside. So when you put it back together, it looks like this. You can't see the little springy thing. And there's holes on the side, here and here. And this is the part that goes towards the wall. So you have a wall, and you have a hole in the wall. You go, and you caulk that right over the hole. Now these two holes have to line up. The hole in the wall and this hole have to line up. This is where the common sense comes in. Right? Now you're saying it won't fit over the AC line that's going into the wall. Right? You're going to fill the hole around the AC line with your expandable foam, your caulking, or your aluminum tape. So your pipe's going through the wall, you're sticking tape all the way around the pipe to fill, so now the bees cannot get into their beehive, right? And now you have a bunch of bees standing behind you saying, hey, when you're done in there, let me in, okay? Then what you're going to do, and you might want to do this before you seal up that hole, you're going to drill a hole in the block wall. Half-inch hole, quarter-inch hole, three-quarter-inch hole. Don't go bigger than 3/4 of an inch. And you're going to drill the hole through the block just above where the pipe goes into the wall. So now you only have a hole in the wall, and you wait for a minute, and you make sure bees are coming out the hole. And you don't care if the bees can find the hole to get back in because you're not letting them back in anyways. So as soon as you see bees coming out, you're good to go. If no bees come out, it's a problem. Common sense. Okay? So then you're sticking a little bit of caulk on either side. Put that right over the hole that you drilled. And that is an easy trap out. Okay? You're ready to set your box. Kevin, how'd the one work out up there? He went to a trap out. I had one of these things in the van. I was doing a job, a swarm removal at a bank. They called me. So I said, I'll take the one in the tree, but do you want me to get rid of the one in the wall where they came from? And it was perfect. I didn't even have to drill a hole. There was one little hole, no other entrance in, took some caulking, didn't have a box to set next to it. All the bees start backing up. I call up Kevin, say, Kevin, you want to do a trap out? You got a nuke? Take it over to this bank. Because I was already back in Wellington, didn't want to drive all the way to North Palm Beach just to set a box there. So he threw a nuke box over there, and he's like, Al, there's no cone on that thing. I'm like, yeah, no cone. Don't worry. Bees will come out. They can't get back in. He never saw one of these. And until I explained it to him, then he was like, ooh, that's neat. And you can pop that off and save that, Kevin. So he got a good set of bees out of that.
Where do you get those at?
South Florida Bee Supply. Quick. Oh, you asked? Yes. All right. So South Florida Bee Supply, I'll make sure they have them at the conference. All right? It's only going to cost you $180 to go and buy them. All right? And that's the only way you can do a trap out is by going to the conference. This thing's over. Let's go.
Pictures on there, Al. There's pictures of that new trap house that I took with Kevin.
Oh.
Where you see that on the wall.
Okay. All right. So they're saying that particular trap out, there's photos on our website, PalmBeachCountyBeekeepers.com. And go look at the photos, and you'll see what I was talking about. So your wire cone is your second device that you can use to trap out bees. I should have prepared one of these ahead of time, but you can see what it looks like right here. But I figured, let me just do it right here before your very eyes, because nobody's going to understand what you're going to need to build a cone. You're going to need 1/8-inch hardware cloth. And it usually comes in a big roll like that or a small roll. You can order it online. There's only like 3 places in Palm Beach County that carries it. Sewell's Hardware. I've heard that Red Barn out in Loxahatchee theoretically now has it. And Moore's Hardware down Dixie Highway, just south or north of Belvedere Road, somewhere along there. Or online.
There's one on Dixie Highway, and it's about 50th Street South. George Hardware.
Okay.
Has it, I just bought some there.
Awesome. And then you can buy it online. Amazon.com. They have different sizes. Who are you? I haven't seen you in a long time. Welcome. How'd those bees turn out of the tree? Did they? Good. Hall Hardware. That's the one I'm talking about, isn't it? No, Hall. All right, so they got it. All right, so you need hardware cloth. You need either scissors, we'll cut it, but you're going to dull your scissors pretty quick, or a pair of these things, tin snips. And then you need your floral wire. For all you studs here, this is the floral wire again. This is where it comes in handy. And you're going to need that infamous tape that you're not ripping the backing off of. And so you're going to cut a square of hardware cloth. So you're going to cut a square of hardware cloth. And then you're going to cut a half of a circle. No, it doesn't have to be a perfect circle. All right, just eyeball it. So that's, see what we got? Right? And then you're going to take it and you're going to curl it around. Okay? Just like that. And so now you have a cone. Cone, okay? You see? Looks just like that. I'm holding it and everything. Now you see where this is overlapping the other piece? Now you're taking a piece of your floral wire and you're threading it through both pieces, then coming back through from the bottom side, and then you're twisting it, and it holds it together. And then you cut it, and then you do it all the way up. That's your seam. Okay? And that's what's holding your cone together. Now you see that this isn't quite level on the bottom. You don't want this perfectly flat across the bottom. You want an angle to it. All right? So what I'll do is I'll take the clippers at this point and I'll come around and I will trim some of this bottom off. But I still have an angle, right? So it's angled, it's not perfectly flat. And why you do that is because you see how it angles up? Now it angles down. Bees always want to walk up.
Nobody likes
Really? I didn't go sexual the whole first part of this meeting, and then you got to go there. All right. So, all right. So, this is your next president, maybe. and so, what was I saying? All right. So, bees want to walk up. So, when you mount this cone and it's on an angle up, they're going to walk up, and they're going to find the hole at the end, and they're going to come out. Because bees have compound eyes, the way they see, they can't see the hole at the end of the cone. They fly back, and all they see is this big wire mesh in front of them. It's just this whole thing of wire mesh. They never see the hole at the end. And so the bees will gather all around this cone and never go in that hole. I had 2 bees today. I was showing, where'd she go? She was just standing here. Oh, well, I showed her today. 2 bees standing right at the exit, welcoming bees out, but they didn't know they could walk right back in and get back into their hive. All right? So, now you have your cone. So, you're going to want to mount this to the wall. So now you're going to take your scissors, and see the nice little seam job? Whoop, 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 whoop. Takes about 4 or 5.
You're a seamstress, ain't
I am. And so then once you have that, then you want to start where your seam is and cut a 1 inch all the way around. Every inch or so around. And I say start at the seam so you know where to end. Because I've gone around in circles, and you end up with little pieces. And so, now that you cut all the way around, you're bending those tabs back. Okay? No, it's not sharp. And so now you have your tabs, mounting tabs. See, cut the screen. Next, oh, I'm going to have to go backwards. See there? All right, so now you have your tabs. Right there. And now it will lay flat up against the wall. Right? So then you're going to take your aluminum tape and you're going to tape it to the wall. And I go around the outside edge first. All the way around. Now you see where the cut is. Bees can get in through there. Okay? So don't forget, once you get all the way around, you come back, and it's easier using pieces that are about 2 inches long. You come and do half of it going up the cone and half of it on the other piece of tape. And you go all the way around. Now you've sealed everything all the way around. Okay? Now the bees can't get back in to the hole that they're coming in. And I will put tape, a couple layers, out to about here. Because usually I'm doing it to stucco or block, and it doesn't stick super well. And I don't want this to curl up, and now they have one little space to get in. So I take the extra time to do a couple rows, and then if the outside row peels, it's still secure.
If there's a way in,
they will find a way in, and we will get to that. So, everybody understand the cone?
Now, what do you do with the angry bees that are building up while you do
We'll get to that. But they're not angry. They're not angry. I do that.
Well, they are when they're in the way of where you're trying to put the
They aren't.
They're fully loaded with pollen.
They have nectar and pollen. Very rarely do they get stingable. Okay? And you'll see me in a video in this with 1,000 bees around me and no jacket, no veil, no gloves. They're not looking to protect the hive. The bees that are inside, the mature bees inside the hive, after they regurgitated their food, will come out more angry than the ones that are coming back. So you don't have to worry about that. So,
should have told me that on the first one. You told me how to do.
all right. So that's why we're having a class. See? The cone went limp, right? And so everybody understands that, right? Good.
What is the ideal size for the outside, for the hole?
I've heard a couple different things. I've heard that you got to have the hole big enough for 2 drones to fit out through the hole at the same time. Or a drone and a worker bee, because the worker bee's dragging out a dead bee. And if your hole is too small and they're dragging out a dead bee and they plug up that hole, you got a dead beehive because they're all trapped inside. Okay? And they panic. So I like to go, no, don't even say it. I like to go the size of a pen, like a Bic pen, up to pinky finger, you know. So, yeah, somewhere around there. You know, I never go that big. All right, so you got your cone. Now, in this case, you have a cone, and you have that pipe sticking out the wall, right? And you can't seal it up, or you don't want to seal it up. So now I'll come back, and I will cut up further on one of them. Now your pipe goes through here. You tape it around the rest of the wall, and then you tape around the pipe. And so you can go around objects with a cone. You can't go around objects with this. All right? So I've even gone in and taken out half of my cone, and you fold it up, or you cut it off, okay? Now you have a drain pipe coming down the wall. The drain pipe, this goes right up against the drain pipe, and then you tape it around the drain pipe, and they're coming, bees. All right, so you can do a lot with the cone. You can make a big cone, right? You can make a small cone. These are entrance isolations. So, there's my cone. There's my cone. That one doesn't have a cone yet. There's my receiving box, my nesting box. This particular wall, right, had one little hole right here. Had a hole here, 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 had a hole here. And all this block, the grout line was recessed 1/4 to 1/2 inch. So I put the plastic up, but then the bees were going through the grout line underneath my plastic and all the way back to the original to get back in. So then I ended up taping up all those grout lines. Okay? Once you get the cone on, give it a ½ hour while you're doing other stuff, and you're watching the bees. I don't put the trap out box there immediately because you want the bees to find other entrances into the nest. Let them do the work for you. Oh, they're getting in over there. Seal that one up. Oh, they're getting in over there. Seal that one up. The bees will tell you where you need to seal up. So I leave the box, you know, let them gather around for a ½ hour or so. Okay? So we're going to go through some of these different situations. This one was 2 stories up in the air. And there was here's that AC line going up through. But there was another plate. There was a metal plate right here. So actually there was only a space right in the center there of the soffit that had bees coming out of it. Now, I ran into the truck and said, where's this little thing? And I'm digging through the truck, couldn't find it. It was at home, sitting on the counter. Great place for it. Because this would have been a perfect situation for this.
What is that called?
A one-way door. Okay? Because I could have come by and taken my trusty old tape, put tape here, here, then skip a spot here, 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 then put a piece this way. So there was one hole facing down. the rest is all tape. Okay? So I would have taped off that whole thing. Then I would have taped this up to the tape, right over that hole. And bees would have come through the hole and out here. Okay? Now, if I go to use a cone on this, and I stick the cone up like this, which way is the cone facing? Down. Bees like to walk up. So the bees come out and they walk up. And they walk up and they're trapped. You get a whole cone of bees. Stupid bees. Come out the bottom. No, we want to walk up. All right? Whole thing gets clogged. No bees can come out. No trap out. So it's very difficult. You can cut half of this and try to mount it up like that. And at least it's a side entrance. Common sense starts telling me, what do I got in the truck? Go down, and I come up with, let's see, if we shouldn't be talking about that one right now. So we'll come back to that. So keep you on the edge of your seat. This particular situation, 2 stories up again. Damn bees love to be 2 stories up. Dryer vent. They didn't stucco or caulk around the dryer vent. So I get a call. So bees were going, oh, here it is. Bees were going in, and he said, it's an easy one. All you have to do is take the dryer vent off. I said, on the phone, I'm like, they're not in the dryer vent. I said, if they were in the dryer vent, I'd just tell you to turn on the damn dryer. You know? Oh, yeah. Common sense, right? I said, they're in the block wall. They didn't seal up around the dryer vent. He's, no, they're in the dryer vent. I'm like, all right, I'll come over and prove to you they're not in the dryer vent. Took off the dryer vent. I said, look, no bees. He's like, amazing. So I said, you need a trap out. 2 stories up. So I made a cone big enough to go over the entire dryer vent, right? Easy one. I love those easy ones. You see how much tape going around? Bees aren't getting back into that one. No ifs, ands, or buts about that one. So 2 stories up. The hardest job was putting up the scaffolding. And I was sweating. Wait until you see the picture. I was drenched from putting up that scaffolding.
How drenched?
You'll see. Then you're mounting your nesting box. So I take lids to a nuke box, because I always have lids in the van. Screw them together like this, and then put a brace going down, and then I tap con it to the wall. And I put it close to the cone, so when I set my nuke box on there, the bees are, the entrance is right next to the cone. Now you see how many bees are starting to collect on that cone, right? And I'm looking around, they're not getting in anywhere. I look up, and there's bees gathering up around the drip edge of the soffit, right? And I'm like, I got to go all the way up there and tape off, that whole drip edge. They weren't getting in. They were up there, but they couldn't get in. Remember, the top of a block wall is tie beam. They're not, I don't care if they're going in the drip edge. They're not getting into that block wall, because if you know something about construction, there's always a 16 to 18 inch poured concrete all along the top of that block. And that's where they were gathering, trying to get in, and they weren't getting in. So then you, woof, woof. Is that really important?
My dog's a diabetic. She gets her shot now.
She calls you? Your dog calls you and says, I need my shot.
She's quite intelligent.
Oh, jeez. Okay. So now I mounted my nesting box, right? Now you notice that I had one brace when I mounted it, because I could tap con here once it was mounted to the wall, and I put my box in place. Then I put another board as the other support on the outside, and it holds the box in place. And then I'll put a screw in from the bottom to hold the hive in place. Now, it's a great idea when you're putting your nesting box together to screw the bottom board onto the hive. Screw the lid onto the hive. Because you're 2 stories up and you're trying to carry that down a ladder, it sucks when the bottom board falls off. Trust me. All right, huh? Common sense. And so you notice the entrance is very close to where the bees can find it and pushed up against the wall, so now they can walk right into the entrance.
On this particular case, couldn't you have put a direct way going into the nuke from the tube so the bees go through your nuke and go out?
Nope. And I get that all the time. Can I have a hole? Well, put a hole in the wall.
No, put the cone, make the bees go out.
Nope, you don't want to do that. And if the cone entrance is too close to the entrance of the hive, I've had them find their way back in to the cone because they can actually walk around. They're all gathering on the front of the hive, and I've had that cone right up against the box itself, and next thing you know, they're walking in because the cone is no longer totally see-through. There's a backing to it. And they then can find that hole. Once one bee finds the hole and marks it, then it starts this onslaught. So I don't like to have the cone inside the box because there's too many possibilities for something to be butting up against it and for them to find their way back in. And I've even had people where they have a tube mounted to the wall, and the tube goes into a nuke box, and they have frames in the nuke box, and they think that the bees are going to say, oh, great spot. No, they walk through the nuke box, back through the tube, and back into the hive. And so the only reason they're going to stay, and I tried it because I saw it on YouTube. When I first started, I had the tube coming out, going into the hive box. They did start building some comb in there, but they only stored honey in it. They were like, hey, this is a great addition, The hive was still strong in the tree. And then I had this whole box of bees, and I'm like, look, it's working. There's comb and everything. Never got eggs. It was all honey inside there because they were dumping off their food, and it was getting stored right there. Yeah, and then they had access, coming and going from the back of the box. It's the 6 years of messing up trap outs. You guys are getting the right in. So everybody understand that? Yep. So when I put this box here, I'll put a couple drops of lemongrass oil here. There's usually a screen covering this in case I don't want any of my bees coming out of the box when I'm transporting it. And then the bees will be gathering up around the cone, not paying attention to the box, and I will smoke the living daylights out of the cone. Get all the bees flying. As much smoke as you can, because it blocks their senses, and then they start looking for the lemongrass smell to say we're gathering here. Because when they get smoked out heavy like that, one bee will land somewhere, start putting off a pheromone that smells like lemongrass, and all the bees start collecting there. This is the collecting point before we leave and abandon this forest fire. And so you smoke them up. They all start flying around you. The lemongrass is here. They say, oh, we must be gathering here. And I've had 1,000 bees rush right into my hive box, and boop, you're done. All right, drain pipe. Here's my cone. Cut half of the cone. This drain pipe goes through the wall on this side. It must come out on the other side. And if it comes out on the other side, I bet you they didn't seal that side up either. Please walk around the other side of the wall and tape up around the drain pipe. Common sense. Foam, caulk, tape, anything. So on the outside, I had to seal it up. On the inside, running tape all the way up the drain pipe. You want to get it 4 feet, at least 4 feet going up the drain pipe. Then put your great stuff foam, because the bees can walk down the tape, and you don't want to have tape all the way up. So you tape up 4 feet and then put foam up top. Why don't I just tape up 6 inches and put foam? it's too close to the entrance, and they will chew through that foam in desperation to get into that hive. You put it 4 feet away, you put it 6 feet away, and most of the time, even if there's an entrance 6 feet away, they won't utilize it in most cases. All right? So great little trap out, easy one. Cut my cone in half, mounted it to the wall, mounted my frame, put my box there. The guy called me that night. There were bees bearding off the bottom of the box. And he said, I think it's done. No more bees are coming out of the... Then now... All right, so you can see that here I taped it up, my 4 feet, both sides. Then I put great stuff foam here, so now they can't get, but they still wanted to chew that foam. But, you know, they were collecting up there, but they didn't chew through it. So, you see the bees flying around? So we're starting to collect some bees.
Do you put your box higher or lower or the same level or what?
I'm always putting the... I don't like to put it up high unless there's no other option. I like to go middle or bottom because most of the bees, I'll look to the entrance, where the height of the entrance, and almost try to mimic the exact same height because the bees like orientation of the same level to fly into. So either low or halfway up the cone.
Al, if that box really filled up, do you put another, take it out, put another box in?
I prefer putting a box on top, just adding a second deep.
Just take the screwdriver and take the lid off.
Yeah, take the lid off because adding a second deep on there is not going to do much. Right? Common sense. So I'll add a second box up on top before I'll switch out. Because when you switch out, remember, the longer this goes, the more bees you have in your box that already smell like the bees that are in the hive. So when the bees come out, they instantly accept the other box because they smell the hive that's going in there. All right? So they start to recognize each other and say, Jenny, I've been looking for you. I've been out here the whole time. Where you been? All right, so now we're talking about the soffit. Remember? Would have been great taping that, putting this little device on there, putting my box there, and just going away. Nope, didn't have it in the truck. What do I have? I have nuke box lids, 5/8 plywood, right? So I build a box, right? Like this wide, 3 inches wide, built a box that fit perfectly into this space. Wow. Then I drilled a hole down here in the box that I built because the box now hung lower than the soffit, fascia, whatever that is. All right, so now the box is hanging down to here, and now there's a hole here. You drill the hole big enough to create enough light so when the bees come out of their hive, they see light. Oh, I got to go down there. And they go down, and then they go out. Now I can mount my cone easily out in the middle, facing in the right direction. Common sense, right? And then we tape the box along the edges, and then tape the box to the soffit up above. And the fascia hangs down about an inch. I was able to screw through the fascia into the plywood box, and it held the box right in place. Okay? So now it's basically a one-way door, like this. Here's your box. The soffit's up here, and now the bees are coming out this entrance looking right at us. So you put the cone right over that. And where do you mount your box to? There's nowhere to mount it because it's so far out. If you mount it back here, it's too far away from your cone. Bees might not find it. So you put an eye hook in the fascia, and you wrap your hive with rope, and you pull it through the eye hook straight up, and it's dangling off of the fascia right where you want it. So now you don't need a bracket. And then when you go to take it down from 2 stories, you're just untying the rope and letting a little bit out, and the hive comes, ooh. It's a lot easier than carrying a 100-pound box down a ladder. Trust me, and I've done it. That's the scariest damn thing you've ever done, is carrying 100 pounds of bees, honey, comb, with a screen in the front down a ladder. Because you're not carrying it down the ladder like this, right? You have to go down the ladder like this. And you don't have anything to hold on to the ladder because you're holding on to the hive box.
Your butt's holding on.
It scares the living daylights out of you, right? So pretty cool, huh? This one, everybody understand that? That box went up. Bees could come down, come out the hole, through the cone. Now they can't get back in, right? And they go right into the box, just like that. Oh, look at that. That's the same one. 2 stories up. That's the ground down there. This is the scaffolding, and I'm spanning across to the roof, hoping that the tap cons in the satellite dish will not pull out of the wall.
Where does that say common sense? That's what I want.
Right. I didn't say I had any. I said you should have some to do this, right? And look at how many bees are flying around. I'm not going like this, right? And they're not bothering me. And there's the lady that she rips the tape off because this house is right down from her house, and these are probably her bees. Right? Shh.
Yeah, but is that interfering with their direct TV?
Yeah, we took the dish and went. We tipped the whole dish back, so it's not even positioned. But they have cable now, so he's gonna take it down anyways. I think he was hoping that I would take it down. It's like, oh, you're getting up there yourself. I'll just tip the dish back. I got plenty of room. So now you can see the tape around the box up on the soffit, covering that hole, and all the bees were gathering up high on the soffit, and there was 500, 600 bees on that. And I said, Sierra, smoke the living daylights out of them. He puffing. I said, no, smoke them. And so she started blowing a lot of smoke, and the bees are now taking to the air. And her head's back like this. She was a little bit nervous, but I'm a little
afraid of heights.
Yeah, not a little. All right, so we're back to the wall. So I get there. The pest control company said, hey, got a beehive in a wall. Can you go over there? Sure, I can. I see it. I said, all right, black plastic, start doing it. Trying to get 5 to 6 feet away from the hive. Didn't really work. So then I had to go back because the bees were going through even 6 feet away. That is a monster hive. No, this one isn't. But while I was there, I said, Greg, you don't have one hive. You have 2 hives. There's one entering the back here, and there's one on the other side entering here, but on the other side of the wall. And he's like, aren't they the same hive? No. 2 separate entrances. If I would have said, yeah, it's just 2 separate entrances, same hive, and just blocked off the other hive, I would have been trapping bees inside the wall. It was 2 hives. So this is one. That's the other side. But I learned, hey, put more plastic up. These bees are stubborn. They want to get in no matter what. So now I stretched enough plastic out, and so I covered everything. And then I cut a hole using the razor blade right where the entrance was. Okay? And you want to use black plastic. Black plastic doesn't let light through it. So when you cut the hole, the bees head for the light, right? If you use clear plastic or the foggy white plastic, there's light coming in at all these sections, and the bees get confused. When they come out, they think, oh, I can go left or right and find a way out because there's the sun shining, and now you end up with a bunch of dead bees in between the plastic, and they can't find the cone to get out because they come right out, and go left or right.
Here you actually have the cone taped to the plastic with a buffer in between the two.
Correct. So they can go left and right. And that's a great, one of the next examples. This example, the cone is taped to the plastic. It sticks great to the plastic. You stick this stuff to the plastic, it's not coming off. The problem with that is, yes, the bees on the back side can go left or right. You need the black plastic. Now, in some cases, I will mount the cone first, cut a round hole, push the plastic on, and put some more tape around the cone. In this instance, I had to go back the next day because the weight of the cone on the plastic pulled my tape off of the wall here. Just a little bit for the bees to go back in. Because this wall, you can see here, is covered with mold. And to get the tape to... I didn't. So black plastic is very important to these trap outs because then you can seal up almost anything if you have a little bit of common sense. Black plastic, I do it around soffits. I do it around gable ends of roofs. I do it around trees. I do it around anything. And then just cut the entrance, and now you can mount that cone right to the plastic. And you can staple, if it's a tree, just staple the plastic right around your hole, and the bees aren't getting in it. So now I have a nesting box for the one on the other side, which is this one. And you see the distance here? That's why I knew these were two separate hives, because of this distance. This entrance is here. This entrance is over here. These cells are going up and down. Sometimes they go left and right, but the bees have to go up and over the block to get to that next cell. And they will do that to expand the hive, but not at this distance. So this is two separate hives. Then put another box here. So I'm receiving, they're not going to go, two separate hives aren't going to go to the same box because you got all kinds of funky smells going on. So 2 boxes, 2 hives, 2 trap outs. Double the money.
Damn right.
What do you charge?
Now, what's that? Let me go back. Did I go back? So this trap out, right? Remember I said that I brought 1 box with me. And so I only had 1 box. So I was like, shit, I got to bring another box back to this. So that I ran home, came back to set this box in place. And what I come back to, and now we're talking about a 3-hour period of time, and it was between 1 o'clock and 4 o'clock when I came back, okay? This is east. This is west, right? And you got all this nice black plastic. Oh boy. That sun came down and was just setting and just pushing all the heat onto that black plastic. Those bees couldn't get out of that wall fast enough, right?
I was going to say, were you cooking them out of there or what?
Oh, yeah. So I get to the cone. That thing is, they can't get out fast enough. The whole cone is filled with bees. Look, one at a time. Bloop, 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 bloop. Solid.
Could they have cooked themselves in that amount of time?
They didn't. They could, but they didn't. Luckily, the sun was setting, you know, and it didn't last very long. But so what I learned is black plastic can work and it can accelerate the process. Right? So God gave me this gift to show me that black plastic can heat it up. Be careful. Well, I thought to myself, man, I did a tree and I wrapped that whole limb in black plastic. Wonder how that one's doing. I cruised up to check it out, and I pull up, and the cone looked like that. I said, "You're kidding me. That cone's full of bees too?" Then I'm like, wonder if they're alive. Because it could have been a cone full of dead bees, you know, clogging the whole thing. I get up there. The whole cone was filled with melted beeswax. This tree limb went up like this, okay? And I had black plastic around the whole thing, and all that comb turned into a solar wax melter, and it all ran down the tree and right out the cone, and that trap house was done. What's that?
How long can the larva stay at that temperature? Don't they usually just flap to cool them off? But if they're all exiting, I mean.
Oh yeah, they're not worried about the larva at that point.
No, they died, right?
Well, the block wall, surprising, I thought they were just going to abscond, okay, and just leave that day, all right? But it's still going, and bees are still coming out of the wall. So they were able to ventilate it, and I think a big part of it was there were too many bees inside creating heat along with the sun. Once they eliminated most of the bees, then they could regulate the temperature in there and now continue because it's still going strong. They're still coming out of the cone. That's a big, that's going to be a double box. I know it is, out of that block wall. A week, 1 week, whoever asked that question. So that was a great lesson. And then I went and checked that tree, and that cone was full of wax, solid. It was dripping down. I have a picture of it. I don't think I added it to here.
So
but
the bees dead?
No. Every bee had absconded from that tree. The larvae and the young were probably dead that hadn't hatched. But in situations like that, if it gets too hot, they're coming out. And I had a pipe. It was a metal pipe about 12 inches in diameter and about 8 feet long. It was leaning up against a fence. Guy called me up and said, "There's bees inside there. You can just take the pipe." That's easy. I stuck a paint strainer over top of the end, duct taped it, got the other end, put strainer on the bottom side. I went to lift it. I wasn't lifting that thing. The pipe, even empty, I don't think I could have lifted it. That thing was over a 1/4-inch steel. It was like a, you know the wells that they used to do up north with that big piece of, that's what it was. Woo! So I had to back the truck up to it, okay? I put a strap on it, okay, and tied the strap off to the fence and started lowering it down, and the strap was just in case it fell, that the strap would catch it before it went all the way over. And I was able to get it down into the truck and then into the truck. I got those bees home, pulled it out of the van, right? Got it out of the van, boom, on the ground. And then I'm like, just rolling that pipe across the yard. These bees are going around, around, around. Well, day 2, I come out in the morning. Every bee was on the outside of that pipe. They were absconding out of that pipe. And there was a cluster of bees. I'm like, ooh, I better do something about that because they're leaving. The end of the pipe, I just took this. When I got home, I said, I'll deal with them later, right? Because I was thinking, how in the hell am I going to get them out of that pipe? I'd probably have to do a trap out of the pipe because I wasn't cutting it, right? No, they did it themselves. The next day, I took a vacuumed them all up, found the queen, but they were waiting for the queen to get light enough to fly. So I didn't get to it that next day. I got to it the day after. If I would have waited any longer, that queen was laying eggs the day that I rolled them over. She can't fly. So they'll wait on the outside of the hive as a swarm before they take off. And so I got them before they took off. So yeah, then I got this 8-foot piece of pipe, and I couldn't get rid of it. So then I had to take my grinder and cut it up into sections that I could carry. So this is a cool little trap out. It's above a door. they had a hole for hurricane panel or plywood right there. They tried to foam the hole. That didn't work. And so I got the trap out all set up, and now you see bees flying, right? Well, I think I showed that bees were going in, and they were starting to find, see, they're trying to go to the cone, but then they're up here, they're starting to move towards my, now I'm smoking a little bit to get them away from the cone. I don't want them coming back to the cone, and then they'll start going into the box. And now you see them with pollen, okay? Now I know they've accepted that box. See them already walking in the box, right? And this is minutes after, and they've already accepted the box. A lot of tape, because that paint on that wall was chalky. And being chalky, I wanted enough, so I knew it wasn't coming off. I got my bracket. See how many bees are flying around?
Looks like you've been using that bracket for a while.
Oh yeah, that's probably done 50 trap outs, that bracket. That's a 10 frame hive box, so a bigger bracket. I just wanted to show you what it looks like when you're dealing with this. That's how high up it is. It's probably 8 feet up. But you see where they had the hurricane?
Yeah, right.
Now I had to fill all the other holes just with a piece of tape. Piece of tape over every little hole.
That probably was like an awning over the door.
Yeah, it could have been an awning. Yeah. Yeah, that's probably better than a hurricane shutter.
Did you screw that some wood system into the building? Is that what you did?
Two Tapcons. You know, 2 Tapcons is enough.
Do you fill those Tapcon holes afterwards?
What's that?
Do you fill those Tapcon holes afterwards?
With caulk. I'll just take a little bit of white caulk. And,
New hole to go into later.
but you know the other holes? The other holes? I leave it for them. I don't fill these holes. I'll leave the cone and say, hey, you got, before you take that cone off, you know, have somebody to fill those holes, you know, right away. Because if you just take that cone off, all that comb left inside the wall, all that smell, bees are coming right back to it. Not the same set, but a new set.
That comb isn't going to dissolve and make a mess like you.
Right. So one of the benefits of doing a trap out is that if I killed all the bees in the wall, you're leaving all the honey in there, you're leaving all the young in there, you're leaving all the bees in there. So bees are going to be dead and they're going to smell. Then you're going to get hive beetles sliming out the hive. Then that honey that's in the comb is no longer being maintained at 95 degrees. So the wax melts, and that wax can melt and honey can drip into the structure. You're going to get ants, roaches, maggots, all that stuff. Whereas this way, during a trap out, if it's done properly and you're not getting them to abscond, by cooking them, the theory is the bees will eat everything that's in there, and all the young will hatch. All the bees come out. So you're not left with dead bees in the wall. You're not left with any honey in the comb. And then the comb itself dries out and crumbles and turns into almost nothing relatively quickly. And so the benefit is you're not going to have this mess afterwards. But if you don't seal up that entrance, now you have a lot of smell and pheromones, and that comb, you're going to attract other bees to that property. Guarantee it.
Yep.
Okay? So I don't like to fill the holes myself. And you say, what's it going to take to put a little bit of caulk in that hole? If I fill the hole and bees get back into that hole, they're saying, hey, you know, you got to come back and do that. If they call me up and say, bees are going back into that same damn hole, I say, why didn't you seal up that damn hole? Or why didn't you seal up that damn hole well enough? You know, now it's another trap out. You know, so it's not my responsibility. I wasn't the one that failed to seal up everything on the repair side. I don't put the soffit back when I cut out a soffit. The handyman does that. You know, I don't.
And if he doesn't do it well enough, his bees coming back.
So this is that dryer vent. I'm drenched. But this is before I put the catch box up, I believe. And I'm just showing you how many bees are flying around this thing and you while you're keeping them from entering. See where they're gathering? They're gathering low. Somebody asked me about the box. First place they want to go is low to come into that dryer vent. So I want my box low down here. You want to see that one again?
I want to see your veil.
Yeah, it's in the truck. Oops, wrong one. Come on. Whoop. Go. All right. Oh, too far. That's a good one, too. Too far. What am I doing? There it is. Okay. So, but look behind me. There is 1,000 bees. Oh, there were a bunch of bees.
1, 2, 3, 4.
All right, we see.
6, 7.
Maybe I just have to be patient. Oh, okay. Now, everybody always says, they'll be down low saying, "Are you getting stung?" I said, "Not yet." And again, they're not here to bother you. They have a job to do. And I always say bees are a mirror. They're a reflection of you. If you're calm and confident of what you're doing, the bees are calm and confident of what you're doing. If you're freaking out, the bees are freaking out. And when the bees start freaking out, they start stinging you. So it's about you. The bees are a mirror to you. If you rush, you're in trouble. So this was one of those old guest cottages, 1930s. And there is a 6-inch airspace underneath that wooden floor structure. So they had a little bit of footer made, and then they had one cinder block, and then the floor joist is coming off of that. Inside, we just cut the floor, remove those bees. No, it's tile, and it was a fancy tile. And so I wasn't cutting the floor, so I said, let's do a trap out. So again, I covered the whole thing with plastic because this whole run had access to the underside of that house because they had vents, you know, going under. So the black plastic came in handy again, and that is a huge hive. I'm already on box number 2 on that one, and that started on the 18th of last month. So what is that, 2 weeks ago? But the box was so full, and that particular box, I let them requeen. That didn't have a queen to it, so I was letting them requeen. And there were so many bees in that box that I said, I'm going to switch out that box. They were bearding off the front. They couldn't fit any more bees inside. They had queen cells hanging inside that frame. And I wanted to get rid of that box off of that property before those queen cells started hatching because they would have started swarming. It's another downfall of letting them make cells themselves is that they're not just going to make one, they're going to make multiple. So sometimes when they make multiples, you start getting swarms coming off, so you could lose bees from swarms leaving from those hatching virgins.
That's for future work.
Future work. All right.
You think the queen eventually in the house will swarm with a couple bees and when she knows she leaves the...
You know, I've never been around to see that. It could happen. I have had situations where my box, I know, swarmed. Because a week ago when I checked it, it was chock full. The next week, you know, a lot of bees had left. Now, was that because the queen came out of the wall and the one in the box didn't want to fight and just left? Or did the one come out of the wall and take bees with her? I don't know. Now, I've had both scenarios because I've played with marking the queen that's inside to see if she's still the one. Still the one. And I've had both. I've had a brand new queen inside, so the queen must have come out of the wall and killed the marked queen. And I've had the marked queen with no signs of the other queen and a ton of bees, so I know she didn't swarm with other bees. So I've had it both ways. A lot of the sites say that the queen isn't coming out. That's not true. That queen will come out. You know, some sites even say, spray your insecticide in there once you have enough bees in your trap out box. Really?
So the first box out of that location.
Well, two questions. Go ahead.
The first box that you took out of that location, you re-queened it with a new queen?
No, it's sitting in the yard, and it has queen cells in it, okay? So I'm going to split that hive before it starts sending off multiple queens. So I'm going to split it, break it up into probably 5 nukes rather than one 10-frame box.
From my understanding, when the queen comes out of the cone or comes out of the wall, she's actually in a swarm mode, and she's not stopping for anything. They're swarming and they're going, and they're going to go land on a branch. And that's from my understanding of what they're saying about the.
But sometimes she might not have enough bees to, or even just a small cluster.
She's going to take whatever she can and just
right.
go. And
okay.
She's weak enough. It's a last-ditch effort to.
Right.
To genetics.
To survive.
They're just going.
So Al, this is the second box.
No, that's the first box.
That's the first box.
And I thought, well, let me go over there at night. Because, you know, most of the bees will be back to the box. I'll take most of the bees, right? I got over there, and this was a hell of a night. I picked up 4 trap outs that night. I was out until 12 o'clock at night, right? I was texting Sierra pictures at 11:30 because I couldn't put a screen on the box. 2 inches of bees covering the entire front, this side, and a beard hanging down off the bottom. I smoked it for over an hour, and there were still that many bees on the outside. So I was like, I got to get rid of this box. What am I going to do?
Vacuum.
No. Pick it up. Pick it up, throw it in the box. Now you pick up a hive with no screen on it that has 2 inches of bees on the outside and a beard, and they're crawling up your arm because bees want to go up, right? Crawling up my arm. When they got to my sleeve, they were going in. I'm getting stung under my arm, down the side, and I'm like, just keep carrying it. I put it in the van. They all started going for the light in the van, closed the doors, drove away, got home, and I was like, now I got to do it again. Picked it back up, took it over, left the doors open, so in the morning, those bees start flying, looking for the hive. They found it. It was crazy. I got pictures of that in the back of the van, not here, but on my phone. If you want it.
That job's done, or we still?
No, it's still going. So it's on the second box. And the next day I went over to check the second box, and it had bees all over the front of it. Huge hive. That thing must have been there for years, and it's going to take a while to get it out.
How come you didn't put a second box on top?
Because it had multiple queen cells inside. I didn't want those queen cells hatching and then possibly swarming out and me losing half of those bees. So that's,
You'll be able to retire now after this job.
yeah, right? When? I'm not. You seem like I'd be making a fortune, but
2110.
Al?
Giving it all away.
Why couldn't you take the petition with the queen cells on and out, leave that, put a box on top, take that home with you?
I could have, but you know how many bees I was dealing with at that point? I mean, the 10-frame box was full, outside 2 inches thick. I didn't even want to open that box.
Why wouldn't you put a second box on top?
But that's what he's saying. Because it had multiple queen cells inside, or I'm thinking that, hey, I was letting that one requeen. It's not going to just have one, and it's going to swarm part of those bees. And then when I got home, then I took the lid off, and it did have multiple queen cells inside, blah, blah, blah. So this is that tree. Can't see the limb very well, but you see how it's wrapped in black plastic and going up? That thing went up 10 feet, and there was a hole 10 feet high, and bees were coming out. So there was comb for 10 feet of that. And when I took it the other day, that comb had wax hanging down to about here, and the whole thing was filled with wax.
Did you have a pile of wax on the ground too?
No, it had dried, as it was coming down. So you see, I'm keeping it low again, mounted the bracket. It's basic at that point. Once you know the basics, block off the area, put the cone on, put your bees there, you're done. Easy. I'm out of business.
Do they ever collect honey from any of these guys?
No, you can't collect honey because you can't get in. That's why you're doing a trap out.
Right.
So the bees are feeding on the honey and eating it.
So honey stays in people's houses and stuff like that?
No, that's what I was talking about. The trap out, if done properly, the bees are feeding on the... They're eating it all, so it's not left with the honey inside the wall. Okay? So this is where I learned that clear plastic was not good. Right? And I had even taped off the cone first. I put the cone on first and then put the plastic over thinking, well, they have to come out the cone. They can't get behind the plastic. Right? Well, the grout lines, they were coming out the grout lines here, 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 and then getting trapped behind it. And so black plastic, don't use the white.
So what do you do with the tree? If it's at somebody's house and it's up in their tree and they don't want it there, you can't block off the tree or seal it after, right?
Yeah. They can. So that limb that I was talking about, I told the management company, the next thing you want to do is call the tree trimmer to come and cut that limb off. And they cut the entire limb off, and now they're not going to have a problem because the limb's gone. The tree was fine. The limb was hollow. So it was isolated. They could cut the limb off and get rid of it. But then a lot of the tree situations, you're dealing with a lot of little holes, okay? So if I tell them, go buy 1/8-inch screen, and staple screen around or over top of all the openings, okay? And then you can actually put foam through the screen and let it foam up. If they chew through the foam, they're getting to the screen, they're not getting back in. But the screen stapled around seals up any gaps in the tree, but that's for the handyman or the homeowner.
Is there ever a time when then it's better to let them swarm?
And leave? Well, the homeowner might look at you like, huh? Aren't you supposed to be collecting these bees?
No, I meant like if you're doing it from a tree or something.
Well, theoretically, you don't want them going into somebody else's house.
In a swarm, only half the bees leave.
Oh, okay.
Oh, you mean just let them swarm out of the tree? Or set the trap out and don't put a box there and just let them leave?
No.
Yeah, you don't want them to swarm.
Okay.
If they're swarming, like she said, only half the bees are leaving, you're going to leave bees in the tree, and bees are going to go set up a nest somewhere else. So you're going to have 2, then 4, then 6, then 8. Okay? This particular situation, this was before I learned the clear plastic. I was actually putting clear plastic all the way around this flat roof to get the bees from going in from underneath the soffit. So all the way around that was plastic, and I lost a few bees out of that one, but it wasn't too bad. So then you see, going down the other side, here's the cone here, okay? And my box is up here. It took them a day and a half to find that box up here. So it's not ideal situation having the box that far away. She kept calling me saying, the bees aren't going in the box. They're all over the place. They're all over the place. I said, they'll go in the box. It was a day and a half before they started going in the box.
And you had
Lemongrass oil on it, and it was just too far. They weren't accepting it.
How much do you put out and right
Right at the entrance on the landing board, 3 drops is fine. So be understanding to bees. And what did I do? No, there's another screen.
You broke it.
I broke it. 1 second. I go back. And go to the conference. Yay! Because at the conference, we're actually going to do a situation. And so you'll be able to see the cone go on, see how many bees are piling up behind me. Get the whole thing going. You're going to see the frame of the bees that I'm adding, the box, how it all gets set up. So join us at the conference. Any questions? What time is it?
So you're doing the plastic like instead of caulking, right?
It's a lot quicker. He asked, so I like using the plastic better than caulking. Depends on the situation. If it's stone, I don't want to add caulking because it's going to look awful, so the black plastic comes in handy. Now, I've done pillars. I've done corners of houses. Now, what you can do, the soffit is all wood, right? You can actually start stapling this up to the soffit, then bend it around, and you end up making a square right around where the bees are down inside. And then you just tape across the bottom so it's like a bag hanging down. And then you can cut a hole. So it's just like the box that I created, but created it with plastic. And then hang your cone from it. This, where do I get what? This is a 55-gallon garbage bag. So I always have these for doing removals. And then if you take your razor blade, cut down both sides, you have a long piece of plastic. So I always have plastic in the van with garbage bags. But where you saw that wall, I actually carry a roll of black plastic. So if I'm doing a long area. Any other questions about anything? Okay, that's a great question. So she said, what if we use almond oil? Now, almond oil or Bee Quick repels bees from areas. Okay, I'll do that. And so you can get yourself into trouble using almond oil. But I do use almond oil in some trap-out situations. A tree, okay? And there's a lot of entrances down around the roots, all right? I'll take almond oil and spray around the tree just so for the next couple days they're not looking to dig underneath the ground to get into those roots. If you put it up close to the cone or put it up close to your nesting box, that smell is so intense that they don't start accepting the nesting box. Because the nesting box, what they're getting out of the nesting box is brood pheromones. They're smelling the brood pheromones and the pheromones from those bees in there. And if you're spraying too much almond oil around, it just confuses them. They can't smell where to go. They can't smell the lemongrass. You got to be real careful, real careful. So now I did have situations where I'd use almond oil in a block wall or a pillar. And instead of doing a trap out, I'll drill a hole, 3/4 inch to a 1 inch hole in the block wall down low from the entrance. I'll put almond oil inside my smoker and light the smoker, stick the smoker into the hole down below, pump it, pump it, pump it, just keep putting smoke into the block wall, and it pushes the bees out of the block wall, then you can vacuum them. And I have had some success pushing bees out, using just smoke and almond oil. Well, it's a man-made, there's almond oil, and then there's man-made almond oil. It's a synthetic almond oil. The synthetic one is the one that repels bees. I've had people call me up and say, hey, the almond oil I bought from Whole Foods doesn't repel the bees. It won't repel the bees because it doesn't evaporate quick enough to put that intense smell into the air. The man-made one, it vaporizes very quickly, but it's still food grade. It's a food grade, but it's man-made. It's an artificial, like an artificial vanilla extract. Artificial. It's imitation. It's, yeah, but it still smells like almond oil and amaretto and all that. Be quick. South Florida Bee Supply. Time to go. All right, thank you very much. Oh, wait a minute.